and neck, and I've noticed the other day in the pool I could actually do a crawl. Now I haven't done that in quite a while. Yeah.
Just one moment. I think we're having some technical difficulty. Do we have audio now?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have to? We should start again.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So let's start things again here because we had no audio, and we apologize for that. We've had some technical issues here in our beautiful studio and our beautiful team. So I would like to just start again. So welcome back to the Braveheart Nation show. So today is our premiere show of the Braveheart Regeneration, 80 and Young Again. I'm Sharon, your host and guide, and this is beautiful Dorothy. And today I'm actually wearing my Teslas because I'm trying to protect myself from the blue light poisoning. And I've been doing so many perfect day consults over Zoom since I like to be face-to-face with individuals when I'm actually consulting them. It just makes it that much more personal. And often I don't wear my Teslas because I would really like to connect. And so welcome. And this is my beautiful partner and co-host here today, Dorothy. And she came down to Ixtapa, Mexico. How long ago did you arrive?
2 weeks.
And what instigated you to come down to Ixtapa?
Well, I've been watching Daryl's show for a couple of years, and I've been tremendously inspired by what he has to teach and to give people. Unconditional self-love and healing of all the nasty body things that have progressed over the years. And so I'm going to be 80 in a few weeks, and I feel I haven't delivered on myself, on my truly authentic self yet. And I said, well, I'm going to have this. I'm going down to Ixtapa, and I'm going to take Daryl's training in person and participate in other kinds of things that he has going on here. And there's a lot going on. He had a training course that I took called Whole Life Coach, where you actually learned a lot about your emotional self and your ability to heal. And a lot of the information that I never really got, despite looking for information to love myself my whole life, Daryl really delivered it in a coherent way that I could understand and use it, such as being in the present moment. Well, yeah, that's very freeing, and that's where self-love can be. Being in the present moment, you're observing yourself more than getting embroiled in all of the past stories and histories and programs, and a lot of that for me was negative. So in that milieu, I found that all I was doing was reacting. Oh, good, bad. Oh, they're good, they're bad. I'm, always the constant judgment, self-judgment, and reacting to life as it came along, which is a very upsetting, anxious state of mind to be in. And now I'm learning through Daryl's teachings what it means to stay in the present moment, observe myself with compassion and forgiveness, and just letting it roll out with love. And it's a totally different experience of my life than I've ever had.
Isn't that beautiful when you can actually become more of an observer of your emotional self?
Yeah.
And that's really what the goal is that because the secret lies in the feelings. And when we can actually have some form of control over the feelings that are negative feelings, we don't want to get trapped within that, judgment thing. I mean, why judge ourselves? The world out there is so good at judging. So when we start judging ourselves, and we're actually working at a deficit, because it's like, really? So when we can just stand in our power and hold that line of love, honor, and respect for self, well, then it really becomes such a better journey, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. I mean, life becomes light and joyful. Well, that's all I ever wanted.
Yeah, isn't that a phenomenon?
Wow, what a concept!
And I had the honor when Dorothy arrived at the World Healing and Training Center here in Ixtapa, Mexico. I had the honor to do her Perfect Day consultation. And I sat with her, and this was days before the actual Whole Life Coach course started. And there was some apprehension that you had on different levels. There was, because the thinking mind, that hamster wheel where we have fear, false evidence appearing real, and we have all these things that we start thinking about. And I just said to her, sit at the front of the room and just honor yourself and let yourself flow with this. And how did that work for you, Dorothy?
That's exactly what I did. I sat in the very front row and I just stared at Daryl during the whole thing. I'm not going to miss a minute of this.
Yeah.
And I got to really appreciate and see Daryl. He's amazing. He's just absolutely vibrant and endless. And I learned a lot from Daryl. And mostly I learned to stay in the present moment and to let the past slip by and not, because before I learned that little trick, all I was doing was constantly reliving it and repoisoning myself with everything that was lodged in my past that has upset me and bothered me my whole life. And when you're doing that to yourself, and then you're getting it also mirrored in the outside world, that can be very, very crushing, upsetting, miserable existence. And I experienced enough of that to know that now that I'm 80, I don't want to be there anymore. I wish I had done this work about 100 years ago, so I wouldn't have spent so much time in that space, in that state, rather. But well, all right, it's here, it's now, it's good enough for me, and I have an opportunity now to be my authentic self and to see how my life rolls out now, if I can really deliver on my authentic self and make a contribution. If I can learn to love myself, that's what I'm here for. And that's what, if I can do it, I want to teach other people how to do it. And that's all, just spread it from one person to the other.
And you're doing it. You're doing it right now. You're sharing that story, and you're touching other people in the world. And that's what's so beautiful about this, is that every person that we can touch, that we can get that connection with, because something resonates within them, because we are electromagnetic energy light beings. And when we look in the mirror, and that's what that is, it's actually, when we look at the reflection in the mirror, it's actually a delayed reflection of our energetic being. It's a 3D reflection of our energetic being. So when we can look in the mirror, that's why the Braveheart 12 loving steps are so critical in regards to this journey, is being able to look in the mirror and saying to each other that I am love. I honor, love, respect, trust, forgive, protect. I can do all those things. And then I really feel it and really stand that line. And then that is what the vibration is. So that vibration keeps reverberating itself and reverberating itself. And look at how you're glowing. You're glowing. When Dorothy arrived, I said to her, make the jungle juice bar your best friend. And she did. And it was like juices and blender drinks. And I just saw the glow come into her skin with the Whole Life Coach and having these discoveries. It's been a really beautiful experience watching you. Watching your journey, Dorothy.
Thank you.
It really is. And smiling. It's as simple as just 3, 2, 1, I got this, and put a smile on. Because as soon as you put a smile on, you're changing your vibration. It's becoming positive. And that's what this is about. That's why when we want to experience a dream and we put our imagination into place, because it all starts off with an image, and then that image creates a thought. And so as we're moving forward, as we're dreaming this dream that we want to deliver on oneself, as you mentioned, and to do self-love and to reach out and touch other people in a positive way, then that dream, as we vibrate and as we can look in the mirror and continue that vibration and continue that journey to propel us into the future, that vibration is what encourages that dream. What do you think about that, Dorothy?
Oh, I just think that's so well put. And it all happens in the present moment. And learning to stay in the present moment and what that's all about. It is like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it is.
And it's observing because it takes away all the anxiety that's built up when I'm sort of delving into those old programs. I have fear and anxiety. And then when I just take a step back and to stay in the present moment, somehow that doesn't affect it. In the present moment, all of that old stuff doesn't roll into the present moment. It stays down, boy. It stays down where it's supposed to be.
As the history.
But,
And that's what
right.
we're doing, is we're rewriting that story. As
Right.
that story becomes a learning story. I mean, we
Right.
had a discussion yesterday about when you said something about being matter and matter. Can you reverberate that?
Tell
Something
me that
about,
again.
Yeah, you were saying something about that you know that you used to be in this place that there was, that you would get mad over, and that then you realized that you wanted to move into a different phase. And how
Oh.
now that story is changing because it's no longer about having the anger, it's about saying something else to you. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I have very, very big anger, I would say rage. Some of my social programming, I'm just going to wrap it up in that ball of social programming, which is everything that's happened to you that you take on as a program and keep playing over and over and over again. Because that's kind of the way and it's a vicious circle. It keeps you in that state of being upset, enraged, hurt, feeling unlovable, feeling just, oh, if people really knew who I was, nobody could like me. Feeling unlovable, that's it. So, coming down here, I had a big blowout with the taxi driver, the man that picked me up. He wasn't where I thought he was supposed to be, and I had all this luggage, and I had to struggle forward with it into a lot farther away from the airport than I thought. And I was so upset with him, and I just yelled and screamed at him. I was so frightened and overwhelmed. Anyway, that's one of my big goals, is to manage my life
Well,
without going into that state.
Isn't that the truth? And when we can be present, then we can recognize that, you know what, this is just what's going on, and it doesn't serve us any purpose to start dumping adrenaline into our system, right? Which is what that anger and madness does. You know, it kind of sends us off into this place that when we can, now you can go back and reflect on that, and then you can say, you know what, I would handle this differently the next time. And so, and that's what it's all about, right? And that's what's so beautiful about when in the evenings I'll do a day of review and just kind of go through my day and say, without judgment. Whereas before, if I ended up saying something or did something that I wasn't happy about, then all day it would just kind of like pick at you and just be like, you know, what'd you say that for? What'd you do that for? And blah, blah, blah. And so then that just becomes, you know, the program that runs. And so the day's review at the end of the day, I can kind of go, you know what, maybe I would just handle that just a little bit differently. But it's okay, because this is the journey. It's not a destination, it's a journey. It's a journey of uncovering those veils of all the programming. Because we entered this world as little spirit beings when the egg met the sperm and sparked life. That was a flash of light. And the flash of light happens upon death. Those are the only two flashes of light that happens within our body, as you know, the start and the end. So we vibrate that life force. And so as little spirit beings, we come into this world, and we are these little spirited beings, and these little girls and these little boys that want to just live the spirited life that we, you know, when you see children that play, and they're just totally in their own zone, they're totally just in their own place, there's so much in the moment. But what happens as these little spirit beings that come onto this earthly plane is that then we get programmed as far as our parents, and our parents only know what their parents know, and then all of these things, and so that little spirit being hides. And I like to refer to it as my little girl. And so my little girl now is really kind of like really coming out more and more, because it's all okay. It's safe to come out here. Whereas, you know, for somebody at different generations, then that little girl has been hiding for longer. And it's nice to see you smiling, and it's nice to see you have more joy within you, because your little girl's coming out. And that's what this is all about. That is our authentic self, is our little people within us, our little spirited being. And that's what the Whole Life Coach is about. It's about cracking the coconut, as Daryl calls it. And it's about jarring all of those subconscious programming, because those subconscious programs rule us and fool us into believing that what we are today and the persona that you have is your actual personality, which it's not. It was created by the subconscious mind, which is the programmed mind, that has nothing to do with who we are.
That little girl, I've been looking for her all my life. I've met her a few times. And she wasn't ready to come out. She was hiding in a cave. She was scared to death. She was afraid of the dragon that would burn her to death if she came forth. And a lot of times, I told you I took many transformational courses. And a lot of times when I would look for that little girl, I'd go inside and there was just no one there who was me. And I would feel empty. And I'm still looking forward to getting to know her better. But in the present moment, it gives her safety. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait for the day when she actually comes out and says hello to me, and we join hands and probably have a hug and say, okay, we're in this together. Mm. And I'm so glad you came out to me, and I know you've been too frightened for so long. And really, that will be a joy in my life when I get to meet her and be with her and unite with her. And I'm sure that will happen in the present moment.
That's beautiful. That really is beautiful. Well said. And that's really what this is about. It's about allowing yourself to have that freedom and that little girl to come out as your authentic self. And when you can play with your authentic self, and that is where the total love, honor, and respect for self comes into play, because you're filling up your own heart. You're not looking for things outside to fill you up. And that's the difference. Many of these self-help programs are still looking for the answer. Well, the answer is within you, which is total unconditional love. And when we can totally unconditionally love ourselves, well, that's when we can truly find that authentic self. And that's what this is all about. Is that when I can, then I can fill, then what I'm doing is I'm vibrating my love outwards. And then all I'm doing is that I am encouraging your love to come out. And so when your love is squelched for whatever reason, because of traumas and dramas and programming and all of these things which didn't feel safe to come out, and you see that little girl is actually the little girl that will allow love to come in, because what little girl can't accept love? That is the little spirit beings. They're the ones that can really truly accept love. It's all the rest of the programs that get in the way, and it's like, oh, you want something from me, or whatever the case may be. And that's so beautiful. And that's what I see in you more and more. Every time I see you, is that little girl. And that fear dissipating.
And in the present moment, that fear really isn't there. My fear happens only when I roll back and roll into all of the past programs and bring them into now. That's where it keeps me from experiencing myself and having self-love, protection. And one of the phrases that Dale uses is, I like a lot, is letting myself off the hook. for all the times I messed up and I got mad and I hurt people's feelings, particularly my son. I felt I made so many mistakes with him because I was just overwhelmed with the whole project.
Yeah, of course. And good for you. That's awesome. And letting yourself off the hook is I believe it's the second of the 12 loving steps of the Braveheart emotional training. And anybody out there can sign up for the Braveheart 12 loving steps emotional training on Daryl's docofdetox.com. And there's a Braveheart free coupon. So you just go into the master classes and start working those steps and start learning about letting yourself off the hook, the attitude, gratitude, the mirror work, the couples connection. And those are really important steps in it all. Somebody was asking, Judy asked a question, could you please let me know if the Tesla glasses can be worn if you need to wear reading glasses to see? Absolutely, Judy. What many do is that they will put the Tesla glasses over top of the reading glasses and just kind of set them, and some people will actually use an elastic. And then as you wear the Teslas more, I mean, I don't wear my distance glasses anymore because I've pretty much since I started wearing the Teslas, because the Teslas turn all light energy into healing light because of the fullerene lenses. It has a different shape to any other lenses. So it refracts the light and it puts it into the eye and it heals the eyes. They're amazing glasses. And so when you go out, you can sun gaze and you can look at the sun and all that beautiful sunlight will come into the eyes and heal it. That, along with the C60, is really a fabulous program as far as healing the eyes. So what do you think about that little girl?
I'm waiting for her. Open arms.
And what are your plans? Okay, so you took Daryl Wolf's Whole Life Coach course.
Yes.
And that ended on the 13th.
Yes.
And then you were originally planning to take the non-surgical portion of the course too as well and become certified in the Wolf non-surgical.
Right, and the first day of the first course, the Whole Life course, Daryl was talking about that the second one, which is the non-surgical, and I actually saw him demonstrate it in class on one of his students, and I saw him sitting on the floor with his knees under him and holding a position of pressure and motion for 3 to 5 minutes at a time and stopping for a minute and then going back to it. And I had a little realistic appraisal and said, with all my aches and pains and this and that, I am not fit enough to do this course at this point. And I mentioned it. I told him that, and he agreed with me. So I'm planning to get ready to do that course, and it will happen when it does. When my body is more limber and stronger, and when I can hold the present moment, and I can learn more. I overheard a few moments of the introduction to that course just a few days ago. And I wanted to be there so much. The information was so fascinating. Yeah. And I'm a nurse, so I have a background in physiology and how the body works. And I just really regretted that I hadn't gone in to take that course, but I've done the right thing for myself. I can get fit and I can get strong, and then I will go in and take that course and be able to have all of that information that is just unbelievable information.
Well, and that's really important because you're honoring yourself and respecting yourself.
Yeah.
And when you bring down the inflammation, which you've brought down a lot since you arrived from following the Perfect Day strategy.
Yeah.
And by the way, anybody that would like to, the Perfect Day consultation is a strategy. It's a lifestyle strategy. It's not a diet. It's not really a program. It's a strategy. So what we do is that instead of a Band-Aid approach, which many of these programs have as a Band-Aid approach, and then when you rip it off, it really burns. And so what the Perfect Day strategy is all about is about nutraceuticals, it's about diet, it's about the Perfect Day lifestyle from the standpoint of exercise, but most importantly, it's about the emotional perspective, because the invisible creates the physical. And so it all starts with the emotion, because the image creates a thought, the thought creates an emotion, the emotion creates a frequency, and that frequency is either positive or negative, and then that triggers the brain, which is the chemist, to dump, if it's positive, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, or endorphins, or if it's a negative frequency, histamine, adrenaline, or cortisol. And so often, because people are running these fear programs, these anger programs, all of these programs that are dripping adrenaline into the system. And so that drip of adrenaline creates inflammation. And that inflammation is acidity. And that acidity it needs to be buffered down, because the body needs to be operating at a slightly alkaline level of 7.4 on the pH chart. And so that the body's only resource to buffer down the acidity created from the adrenaline that's dumping into the body and the inflammation is to pull calcium from the bones and to buffer it down. So the emotional perspective is also a huge factor in it all, because it's dumping the adrenaline into the system. But then when you have lack of integrity within certain tissues, so then there's the emotional component of every single part of your body has an emotion associated with it. The liver is anger, the kidneys is abandonment, you know, the neck and the upper back is about the weight of the world on the shoulders. The spine is all to do with loss of sense of freedom, loss of sense of materialism. And so all of those have a huge factor. So that if the emotion is not addressed, if you don't deal with the emotion, then the adrenaline that's dripping into the system will then go to the area that is actually associated with the feeling that you're feeling, because you haven't dealt with those emotions. And so then that then collects the calcification and the dehydration, because anything that is inflamed is on fire. And so when you put a piece of meat on the barbecue and you turn the fire up, that piece of meat will start dehydrating, start creating sinewy parts of it. And so that's why we have spinal issues, because the erector spinae muscles that run up the spine start to dehydrate, start to contort, and then all the various areas, you get the knots in the muscle belly, and all of that then creates blockages. And those blockages in the joints, then the calcium starts to collect in the joints. We end up with bunions on our feet. And so that's all about calcification that's displaced due to inflammation, which is acidity. And it's so important that we bring down the inflammation, and then we can go in there with the Wolf non-surgical, and we can gently open up those tissues and get lymph and blood and oxygen to the tissues and convert those tissues back to healthy tissues instantly. And so that's what this is all about, because all diseases are created from blockages, and they're basically dis-ease. It's misalignment of the body. So any pains or any symptoms that we experience, which we've been programmed that pain is not good because that's the program, is that it's a GPS to the body that we're out of alignment. And so Mary has asked a question, how do you know you have inflammation? Well, you know you have inflammation when you have pain, and when you have joints that are not functioning properly. You have inflammation. We are an inflammation nation. So if you're eating dairy, you're eating sugar or flour products, then you for sure have inflammation. And if you're also living a lifestyle of stressful, so I could tell. So you most likely do have inflammation. It just depends on what symptoms. So any pain, when you bring down the inflammation, a lot of pain goes away. So if you're really sensitive to pain, Mary, and all those things, it's most likely due to inflammation. And then we have the large intestine, which is the Holy Grail. It's all about the large intestine as far as the functionality of the large intestine, and how if you're having regular bowel movements, and whether things are moving properly, and if you have compaction, diarrhea, all of those issues, it all comes into play. But the Holy Grail in regards to the whole program, as far as the nutritional side of things, is the large intestine. What do you think?
Where do you hear this stuff? I never heard this in anatomy and physiology and in the disease programming and information that I got in nursing school. They never said all disease is really one disease, and it's being out of alignment with your own body. And I mean, what you just said, Sharon, that's the most important piece of information I think I've ever heard. And as far as constantly being in that state of fear and flight and anger and reliving the past and being disappointed and all of that stuff, it's absolutely rooted in being acidic.
On Facebook.
Because when you're acidic, you can't experience well-being. And there's a whole cascade of adrenaline cascade that keeps us in the state of dis-ease and unhappiness with ourselves. And so what Sharon just said, I haven't learned that yet to say it like that, but I'm going to. To me, that's the most important thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And it shows what's happened to us, and most importantly, it shows us the way out. Most importantly, it shows us the way up, that we can get into a better state with ourselves, and a state of now, and a state of having our body in a parasympathetic condition instead of in a sympathetic condition.
Yes, parasympathetic.
Yeah.
And that's what the Lionheart breathing does.
Yes.
And that's what the belly button therapy does. And so we're going to actually have an interactive under the Braveheart the Women's Show on Thursday, which is the 24th of March. We're actually going to have an interactive class on all of the therapies. So the pelvic expander, the pelvic squats, the belly button therapy, the clapper. And so the parasympathetic state, good for you. And that is the only state that we can actually truly heal in, when we're in the present moment. And that's why it's so important. And thank you, Adele. I appreciate the comment. I really do. And this is my passion. This is my purpose. And it took me till I was like 60 to find it.
Oh.
Well, 59.
Just a
not
child.
Quite, just a child. But
Mere
you know what?
child.
You can do it at any age. And you know what? You're proving that.
I'm going to do it at 80. I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah. And I have a woman that I ended up doing a Perfect Day consult to a few months ago. And she lives in Canada. And she sent me a beautiful message. And she was a widow. And she's like late 70s, I believe early 80s. And she took in all of the information, and she's doing the mirror work, and she's taking all the supplements, and she's doing all of these wonderful things for herself. And so she sent me an email and said she'd lost like 20 pounds, and her pain has gone down, and her son is going to bring her down to Ixtapa, and she's going to get some treatments. She's coming down in April. And I hope that you're going to still be here, because I'd love for you to meet her.
I'd love to meet her.
Because this is what this is about.
Yes.
This is about regeneration.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's never too late.
Yes. It just thrills me that I can experience this myself and I can tell other people about it. What could be better than that? Do you have a few minutes to tell them about the vagus nerve and the belly button therapy?
Sure.
That is so exciting to me.
Absolutely.
That is so cool. The vagus nerve is cool.
Yeah, the vagus nerve is rocking it. Absolutely. Somebody just said that. Betsy said something about rocking it. Yes, and we started off the show. Let's rock and roll.
And who knew you had a
our
vagus
soul.
nerve with all that potential?
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, the vagus nerve is an amazing. It's so the belly button therapy. It stimulates within the belly button, which is where we started our life. So all of these wonderful nerve receptors are in around the belly button, which is something like 60,000 of them. And so when we're doing the belly button therapy, we do it in a nice, slow, rhythmic motion, and we do our Lionheart breathing. Breathing in for 6 seconds, hold, and then out for 7. So we're really putting ourselves into a nice calm area. And so we're doing the belly button therapy, but not only is it stimulating all those wonderful nerve receptors in all the areas that we started our life with, is that it's stimulating the vagus nerve, because the vagus nerve actually runs all the way from the woman's like genitalia all the way up the side of the belly button and up the side of the neck. And so it's stimulating the vagus nerve, which puts us into a parasympathetic state. So the fight, flight, and freeze state is our sympathetic state, and the parasympathetic state is our state of calmness, which is in the present moment. And that is truly the only moment that we can actually heal. And it really, you don't have to do it for long, 5 to 8 minutes maybe, and then we're now in a parasympathetic state. And we want to be in a healing state. And when we talk about being in that state, then we can now take in our intuition. We can now connect to our higher self, to our infinite being, which is what we are, is we're electromagnetic energy light beings. And how do you enjoy doing the belly button therapy, Dorothy?
Right now it's kind of a learning experience. I am going to practice it twice a day. It's just learning. I'm just starting out doing it, actually. There's so many components to this program, and it's taken me a while to get them in place, and I'm still working at it. Not working, but I'm still doing it, getting the many different factions. For instance, I just got C60, and there's a way to take that, and then I have to figure out how that's going to go into my day. And the belly button therapy, somebody told me today, it's so comfortable to do it in bed at night because you're lying down. I've been sitting up in a chair on my patio doing it. It's fun, it's comfortable, it's fun, it's easy, it's doable. It's just another practice I have to put into practice.
Getting into the rhythm.
Yes.
It's about a rhythm and a flow.
It is, and getting the various components of this life and this life rejuvenating practice that Daryl has opened up to us. It takes a while to put all those components in place. I've just let myself off the hook that I didn't start up doing it all right just the very first day I got here. I just said it's okay to take my time and do it as I can do it and practice it, and it'll all be all right. So that's called letting myself off the hook, which is a very important skill for me.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is really good. I mean, that's such a key component in regards to this journey, is letting ourselves off the hook.
Not expecting myself to be perfect the first time. One of my programming is, if you're not perfect, then you're terrible. You're either perfect or you're all right or you're all wrong. I think that's called black and white thinking. And that produces tremendous anxiety to perform all the time. And I found a way here to undo that. Is just let myself off the hook, do it as I can, know where I'm heading, what my intentions are with it, and doing it as I do it. Yeah. And that's all right with me.
So we have a question from Ellen, and she asked, hi, what about the eyes? What emotions does the eye hold? Well, really, Ellen, what ends up happening with the eyes is that when there's issues with the eyes is that we don't want to see something. And so there's something in our life that we're trying to block out and don't want to see, we don't want to recognize it. So then the eyes end up having an effect from it. And the blue light affects the eyes because the eyes start getting cataracts because it's trying to protect the brain from being fried. But overall, the eyes are taking the brunt from the standpoint of we don't want to actually see something in our life. And so to review that and really sit with that and say to yourself, okay, what is going on with me that I don't actually want to see? And I've had it too within myself. And then it's nice to recognize that, because then you can go and you can kind of like reflect on that, do some belly button, getting yourself into a nice parasympathetic state so we're in the present moment, and it will come to you. It will come to you. So what's next for you, Dorothy?
Well, I'm staying out the whole month. I want to have a talk with Daryl about that, actually. I feel that it might be a very good time to go home to Cape Cod and sell my house, as it's kind of a seller's market right now. And then I plan to come back here and stay until I'm until I'm cooked and running.
Regain your vitality, more vitality.
Regain my vitality and my joy, and have unconditional self-love. That, to me, is the prize in life. And then that's as far as my thinking's going, because I think when I do all of those steps, that'll be maybe in the next 3 to 6 months, the next phase will kind of reveal itself. And I don't know at this point myself where this is going or where I'm going. But I'm doing the setup work. I'm at least underway here in such a good direction that I've looked for my whole life. I started doing trainings 50 years ago. It takes you so many years to get screwed up from your parents and your society, and then your 20s you kind of go trying to sort it all out. In the 30s, that's when I found out it wasn't working. So that's when I started my trainings. And my family will tell you they've never known anybody that has taken so many trainings. It's just that I thought there was so much wrong with me. I had to go to get some solutions somewhere. So
And it gets confusing.
It does.
You go into somebody's home and they have all these self-help books, and they have like a library of self-help books. They've read them all, and then you look at the condition that they're in, and you're kind of going, you know what? Like maybe you got a little bit confusing, and so.
Exactly. You should see my shelf. Yeah. That's exactly it. Every self-help book ever written. And you know, the funny thing is, I could never do anything long and strong enough to actually get results. And then here comes a new theory. Oh, I think I'll try that. Oh, this one has something people are saying is really working. Well, I'm going to go over there and do that. So anyway.
Well, you know,
I'm down here getting the real deal.
Well, and he's got a library with all of these books, but they're I don't know if you call them, they're strategies. There's strategies associated with it. And it becomes so confusing. And that's what happens, is that you keep, when it's simplified down to unconditional love and holding the line for self.
Exactly.
Love, honor, and respect. And so really, you know, all these books, they just make it so confusing. And obviously it was, because you came here and you're making all of these wonderful changes, right, in your life. And,
it was just overwhelming material.
Yeah.
And for every time I failed at really getting to nirvana, I would have a chance to berate myself seriously, and that would set me back on the journey. So anyway, all the things I've done so far, some of them have been wonderful. But nothing lasted, nothing stayed with me until I saw Daryl's work, and well, here, he's only got a few components to this. I think I can do this, and I'm doing it.
Good for you. And that's what this is about. This is about saying that at any age, we can turn back that clock. Then the number just becomes a number. It doesn't really mean anything, because you can regenerate the body. The body is made to heal. And so when we give it the right components, especially the emotional healing component, because the invisible creates the physical. So when you can turn on that switch and say, you know what? I love you. I absolutely love you unconditionally. It doesn't matter what happened in the past, because that's just a story. And if I keep reiterating that story, then it just becomes that I just get trapped in that story, in that hamster wheel of the story. So if you can look at that story and say, you know what? I learned from that, because now I can reflect that this is how it affected me throughout my life, and this is how I've learned from it, and this is what my journey is. And so when you can look at that and just say, that's history, that's something that's in the past, and it's happened to me, but it's okay. And so then as we move forward, we're actually teaching ourselves that we can open up the vitality of youth, that there is no reason for the aging, you know, where all the connective tissues in our bodies start to crystallize and calcify and dehydrate, and you start feeling stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. Because stiffness comes from blocks, it comes from inflammation, it comes from emotional component. That's why we get stiff. And that's why we call ourselves, when we've passed on to the other plane, a stiff. Because as we're moving there, we're becoming stiffer. we don't need to do that. We could keep the flow going. We could keep it all happening. And so with the diet, with the strategies associated with the perfect day strategies, that we're reducing that inflammation, we're getting the large intestine to function properly, so we're eliminating the toxins, we're detoxifying really gently and honoring ourselves, and we're honoring ourselves emotionally. And so then with the Wolf non-surgical, we can actually go in there and open up those blockages within the joints and within the soft tissues, and we can revitalize the body, because when there's blocks, there isn't blood, there isn't lymph, and there isn't oxygen. So of course we're going to be stiff, and of course we're going to have issues within our tissues and within the joints. And that's what this is about. This is revitalizing the body. And so you can at any age, if you decide that you want to take massive personal action. And this is what you're doing. And so to believe in that, believe in self. And it's so beautiful to witness. It's so beautiful.
You know, I always thought we'd get love from someone else. I was unhappy many times as a child with the programming I got from my own dear dad, who is dear in many ways. I just didn't experience him as dear. I experienced him as very scary and punishing. And I thought, okay, just wait. When I get married, this is all going to straighten out, because my husband is going to take such joy and love in me, and he will love me unconditionally, and then I will be able to love myself unconditionally as reflected in his eyes. Well, I really thought that was going to happen to me, and although I married the most awesome, exciting man in the whole world who could stop me at 40 feet dead laughing at something he had just said, and he was a mountain of a man. However, he didn't have that capacity. He had the capacity to make me laugh. But in showing me self-love, not so much. I asked him one time after 20 years of marriage, I said, Eldred, how come you never tell me that you love me? I would really like that. And he said, well, I told you once when I married you, and I haven't changed my mind. And all I wanted was, you know, the love and this and that. So I started getting really mad at him for that. I found myself becoming angry and pissed off because I was disappointed, because I expected that I would be able to love myself and flourish and have a joyful life when I got married to the right man. I found that I didn't get it from my wonderful husband, and so he died, and then I blamed all of that on myself because I'd been mean to him for not giving me something he couldn't possibly give me. But it didn't all come together in my mind, and that really made me suffer very intensely for 7 or 8 years after he died. I felt I hadn't been a good enough person for him and hadn't been able to give him what would have really made him shine. But drawing on my old bag of negative tricks, I just wasn't able to do that. And so that took me a long time to get over. I decided I'm never going to try that again.
Well, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
You know, I tell the story about my granddaughter, and when I had taken one of the first courses with Daryl, and I came home and it was all about the mirror work and, you know, looking in the mirror and saying I love you, and then I realized she was like 2 years old, and then I realized that, you know, we're all running around saying to her, I love you, Daddy loves you, Grammy loves you, all these people love you. And then I realized, whoa. We need to go into the mirror, Maria, and we need to look in the mirror and say I explained to her, the most important person to love is you. Because we feel that when we tell people that we love, and even at a young age, we think that we're doing really well in regards to the fact that we're telling our children, and there's nothing wrong with telling our children to love themselves. However, we want to make sure that they love themselves first, because that's the most important thing. And so I started doing mirror work with her and saying, you know, I love you, Maria. And I said, you know, that's what Grammy says. I love you, Sharon. And so I started that with her. And I said, the most important person for you to love first before mommy, daddy, me, and everybody is you. And so now she'll just turn and she'll say to her mom, right out of the blue, now she's almost 4, she'll turn and say to her mom, you know, mommy, I love myself first, she'll say. And so that's what ended up happening with you, is that somewhere along the line, you were like, you know, and it can happen, start right at this very young age, that all the love comes from external. And so it just manifests itself. And so then you found this beautiful man that you felt was going to instill that love within you, but he could never do that because you needed to instill it in yourself.
Exactly right.
Yeah, and that's
What
really
a concept.
Yeah, I know.
Talk about barking up the wrong tree my whole life. Trying to manipulate the world
Yeah.
with my personality and everything and my services and everything that I can conjure up that's funny and joyful. Just trying to get them to love me.
Yeah.
Too much work.
How good that you found that out at almost 80 years.
Yeah,
Or you
that
found
was-
that out. Did you find that out before you came here?
Well,
Or did you really realize it?
It's been building.
It's
Let's
been
put it
building?
like that.
Or did it
But
solidify?
I really found out I am really getting it with being down here.
Yeah.
It's
good for
really
you.
coming true for me.
Good for you. And that's what this is about. This is about gentle, loving baby steps.
Right.
And allowing yourself. So have you let yourself off the hook in regards to your husband?
Oh, I haven't actually gone. No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I have a lot of work to do. I
Yeah.
got 60, 80 years of letting myself off the hook because I wasn't perfect in every way. I have to go back and kind of clean that up. Actually, I would like to do that. I'd like to go back with a different perspective on my life than the poor, hurt thing that I thought I was. That to go back and look at my whole life. This is another thing I want to do before I push off out of here, is to make my life, see it in a different light and see it in a way that it was really a happy life that served me and it was all I wanted it to be.
That's amazing.
And then I'm going to do that still on my list of things.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And just go through those videos
Yeah.
of the Braveheart 12 Loving Steps
Yeah.
and the Emotional Training Masterclass. And
Yeah.
just go through them, and even if you have to stop at one of the steps and just work and not work on that, just encourage that as being part of your daily routine.
Yes.
And then it starts to solidify, and it's all about repetition. That's what it's all about.
Repetition.
And so anyways, and Etsy mentioned that in regards to a perfect day consult, you can certainly go onto the consult page and decide who it is that you'd like to book a consult with. And so I guess we have another show that's going to be starting here. So is there anything else you'd like to say in closing, Dorothy?
Y'all come on down.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful place to be.
The Ixtapa World Healing and Training Center. And remember, heaven is what you make it in every present moment. I'd like to announce a couple of upcoming shows, which is on March 21st, which is Monday at 3 p.m. Central Time. It's the Black Diamond Show, the world's purest and most powerful humic fulvic. So what Daryl has done is that he's got a sale that's starting Monday, but don't tell anybody. You can actually get it on sale now for 20% off. And he's got the 2-ounce tubs in now, so not just the sticks of the Black Diamond. And it's give yourself a gift of a lifetime. It's such highly vibrational. It's got the humic and fulvic. It works right at the cellular level. This is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful product. So give yourself that gift of a lifetime and get on the website, thedocofdetox.com shop, and start ordering your Black Diamond. And watch the show on Monday the 21st at 3 p.m. And then we also have on the 21st of March at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, the Pain-Free Pelvis. So we're bringing in a course and on April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, And we can actually learn as women to rejuvenate our pelvic area and to build up the strength within that. It's so important because of incontinence issues and issues with prolapsing. We don't need to do the mesh anymore. So come and join us and learn about the pain-free pelvis and learn about how you can move yourself forward on this beautiful journey of vibrancy. And then join us on all these different areas, and as far as the Doc of Detox and Rumble and Odyssey. And I'd like to finish off with the Braveheart. Oh,
May I do it?
you can do it, or we could do it together.
Oh, let's do it. Okay.
Together?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay.
I
am
love. I am healed. I am Braveheart. Today and every day, from the moment I arise until I gently close my eyes, I will trust, honor, respect, protect, forgive, and totally love myself unconditionally, first and foremost, before anyone else or anything else. So help me God. Because I can. I am healed. I am Braveheart.
You are Braveheart. You're the Braveheart Regeneration. Yes. So, God bless everyone. Take your power back to heal. It's all about the healing journey. And remember, 3, 2, 1, you got this. Thank you for joining us and have a beautiful evening. Bye for now. Bye.
You know, it's not good enough to have the most powerful courses, treatments, and training. We want to deliver to you the adventure of a lifetime that's going to last a lifetime. And I'm going to take you on a little adventure right now and show you what we are going to deliver. What are we going to deliver? We are going to deliver the authentic you, the real you, the genius inside. How would you like to become not just the master of your mind, but the master of your body, the master of your life? You know what? The most important world is your world, and we're about to show you how to create it.
Found Dr. Wolf and all his positivity and trying to reshape our way of thinking and help me be a better person, a better mom, better wife. I'm glad I found him in person in Ixtapa, Mexico.
Never limit yourself to beautiful, because that's what you are. Take a look at this beautiful place. We all deserve beauty in our life. You need to create a new program that is unlimited when it comes to things that are beautiful, things that make you happy, things that make you shine, things that make you feel excited. Let's get excited.
This guy's got something really interesting to say and he's sharing it really openly and we're just really not caring what other people think, and I just thought that was really empowering.
What I've learned in my life is this: to be the change you wish to be the change you wish to see, Braveheart, you have to understand you take life one step at a time.
Dr. Wolf, as many people will have seen, is very direct and straight and will take you to the edge of the cliff, as he says, and then pull you back just in time.
Never lose your focus. Never lose your dream, because you are the dream maker. It's called image, but guess what? It's your imagination. The image that you hold creates the thought that you live with. That thought creates an emotion that creates a frequency, and we know that the invisible creates the physical. I mean, that's quite obvious. So be the power that you seek, and understand something, that all your thoughts matter. And guess what? Unless you're willing to take a look at those thoughts and retrain your brain, change your personality, you'll never change your reality, and your reality could become infinite.
He's a wealth of information, and I love it.
You were created by your creator to create. So let's create something amazing together.
I found Dr. Wolf and I went, wow, here's a truth speaker. And he spoke to my soul and he spoke truth.
So tell me what you think of the destination that I came up with my imagination to hold the whole life coach certification for you. Understand something. It's all about beauty. It's all about adventure. It's all about stimulating the mind, okay? And understanding that your mind is unlimited. And that is what the whole life coach certification is all about. In the whole life coach certification, we are going to go deeper. We have people coming to us, professionals coming to us, from doctors to nurses to accountants to oil riggers to mothers that want to expand their life. And when they come here, they go, I need to learn to help my family, or I want to improve my business. But guess what? We get into their business. When they leave, they become the change that they wish to see, that they wish to be. They become the gift to the world, because when you can stay in the present, and you can't do that until you have unconditional love and care for yourself. And I'll tell you something right now. I have hardly even found 1 out of 1,000 practitioners or even so-called whole life coaches that can hold the present moment and own it and then give it as a gift. And this is what I'm going to give to you. And when you come here, this is where you're going to come into this room when you need to find alignment, you need to find balance, and you need to get back into your lion heart breath, because we're going to go deep into your heart and we're going to become the spark that you seek.
And actually what I really love about Dr. Wolf's teachings is that unconditional love is literally it. And then you're like, how can it be that easy? That's just silly. So, but it's really not.
Come play, come stay, come train with us today. Understand something. I know we have fear, but understand, that's just false evidence appearing real. I get it. Stick your toe in, feel the water, but then I want you to dive right in, because
How I found my Braveheart was through Daryl. He really teaches you to go within and go in through your heart and not your mind, because your heart's a lot more connected to so much more than your mind. Your mind is just so conditioned and your heart is just so open and beautiful.
you're the answer that you've been looking for. Let me teach you how to. What does that mean? First, love yourself, Braveheart. Let's take life in and win.
I had just lost my husband a couple of years ago. With his passing, he gave me the greatest gift to love myself. But Dr. Wolf gave me the greatest gift in understanding that.
I had a dream 3 years ago that I would live in Mexico and I would have this training center, this teaching center, this treatment center that would touch the world. Your dreams are never too big. And when they start to create a little bit of anxiety, turn them into excitement. And get excited, because this is your life.
He's the first doctor that I have encountered that has truly given me the truth, and not just half truths, but the full truth. So it's been revolutionary for me in my healing process.
And this, my friend, when you take on the dream of all dreams, and you realize that if you stay connected to your breath, that you can have it all. Do not let anybody take your breath away. Do not let anybody steal your dream, okay? Listen, God gave you imagination. This is your sandbox of life. Take your life back. Right now, we are teaching courses to people that have come from all over the world, and the government is saying you can't travel, you can't breathe, you can't have this, you can't come together. Yes, we will. And we will do it with unconditional love for each other. And we will learn to grow. We will not judge each other. We'll observe and see where we can support each other. But at the same time, we will hold the Braveheart line, because this is the only way that we can grow. So find your roar, because you're so much more. And learn this: you are the unconditional love that you've been looking for. You are the dream maker. I can't wait to see you. We want to become that small piece of the puzzle that brings your dream together. Thank you. Let me ask you a question. What do you think it would take to turn your life around? I can tell you right now, I learned that a long time ago, what the key was. And anybody that has been able to perfect the perfect day on an emotional, physical, and spirit level knows this. The answer is massive, personal action. That's what it's going to take for you to turn your life around. And to turn your life around, you're going to have to go within if you want to change without. And that's the bottom line. And you know, people think that they can do it like with a consultation, or maybe they can do it with a telephone call or a Band-Aid or a 911 emergency, a treatment. But understand, that's not the way it is. The day that you realize that when you master your mind is the only time you're going to master your body. Forget your life. That's always going to be just random luck until you know that you must become the master of your day. From the moment you rise until you gently close your eyes, you must be the only authority for you. And if you think that getting an hour consultation is going to do it, it's not. If you think that going for therapy is going to do it, it's not. You have to submerge yourself into what we would call the personal treatment and training. And you need to do that from anywhere from 6 days to 10 days, or you need to come for my whole life coach certification, because if you don't go in deep, you'll never make changes. They say it takes 10,000 times for you to repeat something before it becomes a prominent, dominant thought. And if you understood that 70 to 90% of all your thoughts are not yours, and they say that 70% of your thoughts are toxic, tell me they're not. Take a look at the majority of the population. 92% of the population has an autoimmune disease, which means the body is attacking itself. Before that, though, the person was attacking themselves on a subconscious, unconscious level. And that, my friend, is the bottom line, and why you must take a personal treatment and training and go deep and understand how to run your life. What that means is learning how to think, how to drink, how to eat, and knowing when somebody is mistreating you, when someone is disrespecting you, because until you honor and respect yourself, no one else is going to do it. So understand, this is your life. If you want to live your passion and purpose, then you must become the master of your mind to become the master of your body so that you can become the light for your family. So please, consider this. You've got the time and you've got the money, because you're going to change the rest of your life for the rest of your life, and that's my guarantee to you.
Потому что он знает, что...
Так, и кто мы New World Practitioner in Institute of National Health in Ixtapa, Mexico.
Ну, просто we are New World practitioners here in Ixtapa, Mexico at World Training.